Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
You can be in love with someone. You can love someone and and if you haven't experienced love and you don't understand it and you don't have the tools to move forward, then you're gonna have complications.
What happened to Rymir, and why did he vanish right when he was about to force Jay-Z into a DNA test that could have blown everything wide open? The timing is chilling, the silence deafening, and the questions are piling up faster than Jay-Z's legal bills. Just days after what many saw as a major legal breakthrough, one that could have finally cornered the rap mogul into taking a paternity test, Ramir Satterthwaite, the man who spent over a decade fighting to be recognized as Jay-Z's secret son, disappeared. No warning, no farewell, just gone. Now, his family is in chaos, not just concerned, terrified. Something doesn't add up, and the deeper you dig, the darker it gets.
Really wanted to find out who my father was, and for the case not to go how I was planning it, I really thought it was going to go different than...
Imagine fighting the course for over a decade, pushing through sealed records, legal loopholes, and what many say were blatant lies crafted by Jay-Z's legal team. 10 years of silence, dismissal, and uphill battles, only for the truth to finally start cracking through the surface. Jay-Z was cornered. A court-ordered DNA test seemed all but inevitable. And then Rymir vanishes. No warning, no press conference, no closure. Just a trail of unfinished paperwork, frantic voicemails, and a family paralyzed by fear and confusion. This isn't some nobody off the street. This is a 31-year-old man at the center of one of the entertainment industry's longest running and most closely guarded secrets. A man who spent his entire adult life demanding the one thing he said was stolen from him, the truth. And now, right when the moment of reckoning was near, he's gone. Before her passing in 2019, Rymir's mother Wanda signed a sworn affidavit stating that she had a relationship with Jay-Z when she was just 16 years old. Her testimony wasn't casual, it was a legal declaration, one she stood by until the end. Since then, the fight hasn't died. Rymir's legal guardian, Dr. Jaleo Coley, picked up the torch and kept swinging. For years, she's battled not just Jay-Z, but entire court systems in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey. According to her, Jay-Z's legal team didn't just twist the truth, they lied under oath about something as basic as his residence, claiming he wasn't living in the area at the time of Rymir's conception. But here's the kicker, public records tell a different story, and if those records are right, then someone's been running from something a lot bigger than just a paternity test.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
So, was this a vanishing act or something far more sinister? Because here's where things take a much darker turn. Rymir didn't just disappear randomly. He vanished right after scoring a crucial legal win, one that could have finally unsealed decades-old court records and forced Jay-Z to take the DNA test he's managed to sidestep for over 20 years. If that test confirmed Wanda's sworn statement, Jay-Z's billion-dollar empire wouldn't just take a hit, it could collapse, and not just reputationally, because if Wanda was underage when the relationship occurred, that opens the door to something far more serious, potential criminal charges. The lawsuit, filed in late November, doesn't read like a routine legal grievance. It's a bombshell, alleging fraudulent statements, constitutional violations, and intentional obstruction of justice. It doesn't just target Jay-Z. It names multiple judges and even accuses the New Jersey Supreme Court of blocking Rymir's path to the truth. This isn't a case. It's a labyrinth, a hall of mirrors where every exit slams shut just before daylight can pour in. And just when it looked like someone might have finally found the way out, Rymir disappears.
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away." Would you?
Some say this was no coincidence. In fact, whispers across the underground celebrity gossip circuit are starting to sound more like sirens, and they're all echoing the same chilling thought. Jay-Z didn't have to get his hands dirty, but someone in his inner circle might have. Because if that DNA test ever saw the light of day, it wouldn't just dent Sean Carter's image, it would detonate it. We're talking about a revelation so damaging, no amount of PR spin or multi-platinum distractions could clean it up. It wouldn't just ruin a reputation, it would redefine it. So the question many are now quietly asking is this: did someone close to Jay-Z make sure Rymir never made it to court? And it's not just wild internet conspiracy theorists throwing that theory around. According to reports, Rymir's own family fears the worst. And that fear? It's growing louder because of what else is unraveling around Jay-Z right now. The rapper has just been named in a separate civil lawsuit, one that links him to a disturbing incident from the year 2000, alongside none other than Sean Diddy Combs. The allegations are so dark, so deeply unsettling, that Jay-Z issued a rare statement saying, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint." But that wasn't confidence speaking, that was panic in black and white, a sign that the walls might finally be closing in. And Rymir's disappearance? It might just be the most alarming crack in the foundation yet.
Now, he, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement.
Yeah.
He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down.
So now you've got two legal storms brewing. One centers on a young man desperately seeking the truth about his identity. The other threatens to drag Jay-Z into the shadows of a potential criminal case dating back to the early 2000s. And just like that, the one person tying both cases together, Rymir, vanishes without a trace. That kind of timing doesn't feel like coincidence. It feels like a cleanup operation. Some are pointing fingers directly at Jay-Z's legal team. Others are looking deeper at the inner circle, the handlers, the strategists, the gatekeepers who have everything to lose if Jay-Z's carefully crafted image starts to crack. And then there's Beyoncé. Yes, that Beyoncé. Whispers are now swirling that Queen Bey herself may have quietly stepped into the background, not because she's guilty of anything, but because the Carter empire cannot afford another scandal. Not now, not ever. Let's be honest, Beyoncé didn't spend the last decade building herself into a global icon of perfection, discipline, and family loyalty just to watch it all implode under the weight of her husband's past. But now, throw in an alleged teenage relationship, a secret son, and a DNA test that never happened. That's not just a scandal. It's a sinkhole beneath their billion-dollar brand. Some sources claim Beyoncé has already assembled a private crisis team, complete with investigators, media consultants, and PR surgeons working around the clock to manage the fallout. One rumor suggests NDAs are being handed out like party favors, locking down anyone remotely connected to Rymir's case. We can't confirm those details, but in a game played at this level, silence is never accidental. It's strategy. And sometimes silence screams louder than any confession ever could.
Respect to the evidentiary value, yes, it happened 24 years ago, right? More than 24 years ago. But in the allegations, there's a few things. Number one, there's allegation that another celebrity was present at the time, right, in addition to other people. Number two, there's the claim by the victim, right, that she left, that she went and she was seen by a gas attendant who saw her in.
Here's what we do know. This isn't the first time Jay-Z's name has been tangled in scandal involving Rymir. From 2010 to 2023, courtroom after courtroom sidestepped one glaring, unavoidable question. Why is one of the most powerful men in entertainment so determined to avoid a simple paternity test? Jay-Z has the means to end this with a cheek swab and a lawyer. Case closed. But instead, his legal team built fortresses, blocking filings, dodging subpoenas, and even claiming he didn't own property in New Jersey despite public records proving otherwise. At one point, One of his attorneys even admitted she had, quote, misspoken. Others believe she didn't just misspeak, she misled the court. And now, just as the truth seemed within reach, Rymir is gone, vanished. People close to the case aren't buying the coincidence. To them, this isn't just about protecting a reputation, it's about protecting freedom. Because if Wanda was telling the truth, if she really was 16 when she had a relationship with Jay-Z, then this stops being a story about avoiding fatherhood and becomes one about evading a felony. That's not a PR scandal. That's a prison sentence. And no amount of Grammy wins, sold out stadiums, or billionaire swagger can scrub that away. So ask yourself, if you were one of the most powerful figures in music history and a storm like this was heading straight for your empire, what would you do to stop it?
Sure. So civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law. But if true, it could rise to the level of criminality. And, we'll see what happens or if the DA looks and investigates.
Would you throw money at lawyers by silence with settlements? Would you call in favors from the judges you've helped get elected? Or if the stakes got high enough, would you consider more permanent solutions? This is where the story gets murky. The facts blur into fears, and theories begin to crawl out of the woodwork. Some claim Rymir had started receiving strange messages. Others say he was planning to speak to the press uncensored, unfiltered. A family member allegedly warned him to stay low after a weird car was spotted near his home. And then, no texts, no social posts, no replies. His last known location unconfirmed, his phone disconnected. But this is just the beginning. What other lengths could Jay-Z's team have gone to in order to protect his secrets? And if this truly was about covering tracks, we have to ask, how deep does that cover-up go? Because let's not pretend this is the first time Jay-Z's legal machine has pulled strings behind courtroom curtains. For over a decade, Rymir's case didn't just stall, it was smothered. Records sealed, motions denied, judges allegedly misled. His legal guardian, Dr. Lily Coley, accused Carter's lawyers of knowingly lying in court about where he owned property. Public records, they said the opposite, but somehow, over and over, the courts ruled in Jay-Z's favor. Suspiciously convenient.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact find.
Between 2012 and 2023, the courts issued what Rymir's legal team called fraudulent sanctions. They claimed they were punished for violating gag orders that didn't even exist, constitutional rights. According to the lawsuit, those were bulldozed. One judge's ruling was so full of conflicting logic that it looked less like jurisprudence and more like damage control. The result? Jay-Z avoided every opportunity to take that test, and the paternity question stayed unresolved, just the way his team wanted it. So if Jay-Z's camp could bend the justice system this far to keep one test from happening, what else might they have done to keep his secrets hidden? Here's where the whispers turn cold. More than one insider has floated the name we've all been waiting for, Diddy. Or more specifically, Diddy's rumored cleanup crew, the same invisible network allegedly used to contain scandals, destroy tapes, and according to 3 separate sources tied to the 2000s era music scene, make inconvenient people go quiet. This isn't some myth cooked up in a conspiracy forum. There are real accusations, multiple civil cases, and serious claims about illegal parties, secret flights, and non-consensual silence.
After they are done with Diddy, Jay-Z is up next to be exposed, right?
Now consider this, Jay-Z and Diddy weren't just industry friends, they were strategic allies. They toasted billion-dollar deals together, co-signed each other's success, and, according to whispers in the shadows, covered for one another when the walls started closing in. Flashback to the year 2000, a pivotal year where both men found themselves staring down legal chaos. Diddy got arrested after a nightclub shooting. Jay-Z caught his own charge for stabbing a producer. 2 moguls, 2 headlines, 2 empires on the brink, and they closed ranks hard. So now ask yourself, if Jay-Z truly needed someone to disappear, metaphorically or otherwise, wouldn't Diddy's infamous shadow network be the first place he'd turn? Especially now. With Diddy behind bars, his circle crumbling, former allies turning state's witness faster than DJs flipping records. The silence is breaking, and people are starting to talk. The timing ugly, but the silence from Jay-Z's camp even uglier.
And I have to still say allegedly, has done things and allegedly participated in a lot of things that the public would not be happy to know.
There's another silence that's perhaps even more deafening. Beyoncé's. For someone who has built a global persona on empowerment, family unity, and unapologetic transparency, her refusal to address the Rymir situation or even acknowledge it has raised serious eyebrows. This isn't just about standing by her man, it's about calculated inaction. Publicly, she's carried on as if nothing has happened, maintaining her image of poise and perfection. But behind the curtain, we have to wonder, what does her silence really mean? Is it protection, denial, or something more unsettling, complicity? The psychology of Beyoncé's position is far more complicated than fan theory suggests. She's not just a wife, she's a brand, a business, a fortress of polished control. Speaking out against Jay-Z, even subtly, could cause a ripple that shakes the entire Carter enterprise. But remaining silent while a missing person narrative unfolds around a man claiming to be her husband's secret son, that's not just cautious, that's cold. There's a theory floating among former industry insiders that Beyoncé may be trapped in the same web she helped weave, the queen in a palace built on secrets. And if she were to speak, even accidentally, she'd risk exposing the rot beneath the gold.
But after that major documentary comes out on Diddy, then you're going to start to hear more and more about Jay-Z and his nefarious past.
And yet, there's another lens. One that doesn't cast Beyoncé as a mastermind or co-conspirator, but as a woman emotionally paralyzed by the weight of it all. Maybe she isn't hiding guilt. Maybe she's hiding fear. Fear that everything she's built, the brand, the legacy, the illusion of perfection, could collapse under the weight of a truth she didn't create, but chose to protect. Fear that her children will bear the scars, that the empire she curated with surgical precision could unravel because of someone else's sins. If that's the case, then her silence isn't strategy, it's survival, a quiet internal war between doing what's right and preserving everything she sacrificed for. But at what point does silence become betrayal? How long can someone stand in the shadows before they become part of the act? And at the center of this silence sits a grieving, desperate family. Rymir's loved ones aren't just confused, they're in agony. His guardian, Dr. Dre Coley, has made it painfully clear. This was never about money, it was about accountability. She's spoken to the press, filed legal motions, begged the courts for transparency. And what did she get in return? Nothing. No statement, no acknowledgement, no proof of life. It's as if someone isn't just trying to block Rymir from Jay-Z's legacy, but trying to erase him from the story altogether. His social media, dead silent. His phone, disconnected. The legal progress that had taken years to build, gone, flatlined. And the few people close to him who have dared to speak only do so off the record, quietly, nervously, because they're afraid. Afraid of what might happen if they say too much. Afraid of what did happen to Rymir. And that's the $1,000,000 question. Or maybe the $1,000,000,000 one.
No, this part is not alleged. Jay-Z and his team, they have been ducking and dodging, taking the DNA.
Because we're not just talking about a music career anymore, we're talking about legacy. Jay-Z built an empire off hustle, image, and ironclad control. He sat with presidents, he's curated exhibitions, he's married to a global icon who built an entire brand on honesty and empowerment. But if the allegations around Rymir are true, if the DNA test had happened and confirmed Wanda's sworn affidavit, then the House of Carter has a crack running straight through the foundation. A crack that threatens to swallow everything. And this crack didn't come from tabloids or trolls, came from court documents, real lawsuits, real affidavits, and a very real young man who just wanted a chance to know the truth about where he came from. Instead, he was met with courtrooms stacked against him, attorneys accused of fraud, and a superstar who refused to even send a single letter. Let's not forget this isn't happening in a vacuum. Jay-Z is now officially named in a separate civil lawsuit tied to horrifying events in 2000 alongside Diddy. He's been accused of conduct that could, if proven, do irreversible damage to both his reputation and his freedom. And while his team calls it a shakedown, his own words reveal the pressure. So no, I will not give you one red penny snapped in a public statement. That kind of energy doesn't come from a man who's calm. It comes from a man who's cornered, and that corner just got smaller. As while the public's attention is still stuck on headlines about brunches and remixes, the real story is unfolding in the shadows, where sealed court records, missing people, and buried truths are starting to bubble to the surface.
Why the f would you need to sign a don't ask about a plane crash if it was accidental?
Do you feel like...
Riddle me that. Riddle me that. Work with me here in this moment.
And I'm gonna ask you.
A plane crash should be accidental.
Should be.
So, what now? If Ramir Satterthwaite never resurfaces, does Jay-Z walk away untouched? If those sealed court files stay locked, does the truth stay buried forever? Or will someone finally break the silence? Maybe a former insider, maybe a lawyer with a conscience, maybe a whistleblower from deep inside the Roc Nation machine. Because the clock is ticking, and the longer the silence stretches, the more people are filling that void with their own conclusions, and they already are. Reddit threads are unraveling timelines, body language experts are dissecting old interviews, fans are tracking Ramir's last known movements like digital detectives, grasping for any clue, any crack in the wall of silence. And yet, from Jay-Z, not a word, no statement, no outreach, no empathy, just cold, calculated quiet. If these allegations are true, the implications are massive. We're not talking about a PR scandal. We're talking about the potential collapse of a billion-dollar empire, an empire built on influence, power, and the illusion of invincibility. But the most urgent question remains, where is Ramir Satterthwaite? What happened to the man who was on the verge of finally getting answers? And how far would the Carters go to keep their world intact? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe happened? And more importantly, do you think the truth will ever be allowed to breathe? Stay sharp, stay safe, and remember, the truth has a way of finding its voice.